Wilson Miles from Black Film TV, talking Eriq La Salle, who's got a couple of projects. Here we are. You're back on screen and behind the scenes on the call. How did that come about?
Well, I've been working with the Wolf Camp for several years, and I used to run a show, Chicago PD, for them as executive producer and the main director. So, they called me up one day and said, "Hey, listen, we want you to read this script. Let us know what you think about it. But it's our first streaming show, and we want you to direct the pilot and set the tone. So let us know. Two pages in, I was like, I'm in. So yeah, so it's just been and that's how we did. And then I became executive producer, and then I decided to act in it. So I just felt I wanted to sort of do the trifecta. Uh,
Mhm.
so,
But
very.
you've done other shows before. Why this particular one to act in it, and give yourself a good role as opposed to like listen, you've been behind the scenes for a long time.
Well, I think that, originally I'd wanted to cast my best friend, Michael Beach, and we got to him a little too late in the deal, and he'd been swooped up by another big job. And so then we started, and then, I had not one of my novels was coming out around the original time that this was coming out. So I was, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have one of my books out and to have this show out. So selfishly, I was like, oh, this is before the strike. And so it didn't, but so that kind of made me start thinking, but I love a good challenge, and I love being able to do things. Also, a motivating factor was I love what Jason Bateman did on Ozark, of doing all three. I don't feel we as people of color are there aren't many of us in that space that can do all of that. So, to be one of the few that can do it, I love that. So I jumped at it. Yeah.
With On Call, it's a good series. It's short in a way because it doesn't feel like the other shows that you see on network TV. Um, what is the prime reason people should catch this show? Because I always say now that we're in a realm where there's TV and cable and network, there's a glut of shows out there. It's like there's no, back in the day you just knew what show, where you could find it, but now it's sort of like you miss it because there's a lot of stuff out there. What is the prime reason for people to catch On Call? Obviously, the Wolf name carries a lot of weight. Anything else
Well, I
besides
think
that?
Yeah, but I think when you do the math, yes, there's a lot out there. That doesn't necessarily mean there's a lot of quality out there. And then that doesn't mean that there's a lot of originality out there. So when you take those two things away, that shrinks the pool some. I think that this show is very original in its storytelling. We use body cam, dash cam, cell phone, regular studio camera. So we tell our story in different mediums, and I think that that's really cool. So visually, it has a completely different feel from most shows. It feels almost at moments almost like a documentary. I think and it also feels a bit immersive because you have the sense that you're in the car with them. You're doing a ride along. So the theme of the show is a day in the life of a cop. And so it's our job through the various camera techniques that we employ, it's our job to make you feel like you are doing a ride along, like that you are answering these calls with these cops. And so that's different. That what other show is really doing that. So I think these are just some of the differences that make the show unique.
How much research went into the ride along when you're saying it from that perspective? Obviously, for those who are in that position now, when they're seeing the show, even though it's fictional, they can get an idea about like, oh, I can see what they're talking about.
Well, another unique thing about our show is every call that they answer is a real happened in real life. So we didn't, obviously you embellish a little bit, you dramatize it, but all of the calls. So we're using real calls, and also every major actor on the show did at least one ride along.
Mhm.
That's and some people did multiples, but that was that was just a part of the training and a part of the field. And I just remember I've done ride-alongs before, but and with this particular one, I did a 10-hour shift. And man, we got so many calls, and you just like, wow, you know. And so I wanted that feeling to be in the show where, you know, at the end of it, you're like, ooh, and then sometimes you realize we're only halfway through the shift. We still have another 5 hours to go, but we've just done this, we've done this, we've answered this call, we've answered that call. So all of that stuff helps.
Hmm. Now, you just recently directed an episode of Law and Order, in which you got to reunite with Mekhi Phifer, you know, your former ER co-star. What was that feeling like? Not just be only behind the scenes, but you know, doing it with people you've known for some time.
Well, it was great. It was Mekhi Phifer, Maura Tierney, who is one of the new regulars on the show, and I was fortunate enough to be able to direct the season premiere as well, which introduced her character. So I got that, and I hadn't seen her in a while. Mekhi, I cast him on Chicago PD, and he played a badass, and it was a fantastic episode. And then also Michael Beach was in Law and Order, and Michael played Al Boulay on ER. So there were four ER members. So it was just cool. You know, these are people I like. These are people I respect. These are people that I trust. So you know, man, it's you know, you're hanging out. You're shooting for 12 hours a day. You're sitting around and you're talking and you're hanging out, and you realize this is how I want to spend my life. This is what I love doing, especially with the right people. These were all the right people, you know what I mean? And so there's a truth and a trust to that. I can ask Mekhi to do things. He trusts me. Mike Beach and I have worked together numerous times. He trusts me. When I introduced Maura's character on in the season premiere, she came up and was just like, I was so glad it was you. So there's, you know, look, man, those are bonus points. You know, that's when you get the bonus part of life and in your career. So that particular show was fantastic and fantastic to work on and to work with them, and we just had a lot of fun.
You know, there aren't that many black talent actors who have made a good transition from in front of the screen to behind the scenes and has done it for quite successful like you, Sally Richardson Whitfield, as I'm thinking about it. You know, so when people that look at your background in your career, how hard is it to make that transition so that the powers that be can trust you to have so you can have this career that you've had now for over a decade to a point where you're moving on up, not just directing, but being named as an EP.
Well, you know, I've been directing for about 25 years now. So it's been a build. I didn't come out and, you know, I mean, well, my directorial debut was for a really cool movie on HBO called Rebound. And then I did the pilot for Soul Food on Showtime. So I came out with that, but as far as like TV, it's been a process. And the fact that I respect process, I think makes it, you know, more rewarding. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to stop acting, and then tomorrow I want to be this. I mean, it's a process, and so within that process, the Wolf Camp said, "Hey, we'd like to make you an executive producer as well as a director." And then they say, "Hey, we'd like you to direct this pilot of this new streaming. The first time we're going to be doing streaming, we're going to entrust you with the show that's going to put us in the streaming world." So these are honors, but they're honors that you work towards in a process-oriented way that you're like, hey, you got to put in the work, man. You got to put in the work, and you got to put in more work. And I'm built that way, and that's what I get off on. So it allows me the luxury of really working on things and working towards these goals. And then when you start seeing them come to fruition, and then certain things kind of like fall in your lap. And when I say fall in your lap, the fruits of your labor, like you work, and sometimes all you have to do is shake the tree and stuff starts falling. But you know you're used to working hard. So then when something like, you know, on call comes along, and he just call you up and say, hey, read this. We'd like you to do the pilot. We'd like you to, you know, do this. And then I said, well, I'm going to do the trifecta. I'm going to direct. I'm going to, because I direct half the episodes of the show. I'm going to direct. I'm going to exec produce, and I'm going to act because something that I've wanted to do personally. And you said something earlier. Not only are there not that many in this space, people of color in this space, but there are certainly fewer in the space of doing the trifecta. And I like to be that person that separates myself from the herd and not just be one of many. And I felt as an actor, I would have been one of many. I felt, sometimes as a director, you're like less, but still, but there aren't that many people of color doing all three, and I can, so why not?
Hey, just want to say congrats on not only on-call series, but creating this path so that people can see the work you've put in all these years. And like you said, it's work, and it takes passion. And if people can see your trail, hopefully they can emulate that. So okay, Eriq's done it, Sally can do it. If I put the time in, hopefully I can do it. So congrats on all you've done so far. I'm sure we'll talk down the road. Let's get a season 2 of On the Call. We'll talk again. Take care.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.